The crisis of passive men and the call to rise. The longer I look at the world, the more obvious it becomes that society didn't start collapsing because women changed. It collapsed because men stopped showing up. Homes didn't fall apart because the enemy was stronger. They fell apart because the watchman left his post. The very first sin in Scripture wasn't Eve eating. It was Adam standing there doing absolutely nothing. He was silent, passive, present in the body, but absent in leadership. And that's the pattern that's repeated for thousands of years. Satan didn't overthrow the garden by overpowering man, he did it by neutralizing him. Today is no different. Fathers are physically present, but they're spiritually absent. Husbands retreats into comfort instead of covering their home. Men call peace what is really surrender, and masculinity is not destroyed by force, it's hollowed out by passivity. And because men drop the mantle of leadership, everything beneath that and everything beneath them is starving for direction. Children are being raised by screens instead of fathers. Wives are carrying the burdens that they were never built to carry. And churches, well, they're just full of people, but they're empty of a backbone. Culture is shaping boys into victims instead of warriors. Men want purpose, but they don't want obedience. They want strength, but not submission to God. They want influence without responsibility. And wherever a man refuses to lead, the enemy is more than happy to lead. This is why the Bible doesn't call man to be nice. It calls him to be watchful, to be firm, courageous, and strong, as it says in 1 Corinthians 16:13. That's not a personality trait, that's a command. The world doesn't fall when women speak. It falls when men go silent. The home doesn't suffer because the wife loves too much. It suffers when a husband refuses to shepherd. God's question in Genesis still echoes today. Adam, where are you? He didn't say, where is Eve? He didn't say, where are the children? God holds the man accountable first. So if there's going to be a real shift, a real revival of truth, holiness and conviction and courage, it won't happen when men feel ready. It will happen when men take their post again. Because biblical manhood is not swagger, it's sacrifice. It's not dominion, it's spiritual. It's not being loud, it's being responsible. And it's not being macho, it's being submitted to Christ. This world doesn't need more good guys, it needs godly men. The kind who understand that leadership is not a trophy, it's actually a burden. And God trusts you to carry that. A movement of men will not begin in a conference or in a stadium. It starts right here in the home. When a man finally says, not in my house, I will stand and I will lead and I will obey. No more silent Adam. No more passive manhood. No more outsourcing fatherhood to the culture. And no more women forced to carry what God assigned to men. When men return to their post, families heal. When men fear God again, order returns. And when men bow down to Christ, they finally stand up straight. Biblical manhood isn't outdated. It is the missing backbone of this generation. And God is calling men today not to just be better, but to rise, to lead, to carry the weight, and to be the ones that hell worries about again. Because when a man becomes what God designed him to be, everything under his covering begins to finally live and live according to God's will. Peace.